Newton's laws of motion, created on November 20th, 2016.
Brought to you by Last Minute Productions.
Starring Kate James, Tyler Allen, and Seth Patton.
Go.
Newton's first law of motion states an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an outside force.
Tyler will demonstrate for us Newton's first law of motion by kicking a ball at rest.
Now Tyler and Seth will demonstrate Newton's first law of motion by proving that an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Newton's second law of motion states that the acceleration of as produced by a net force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the net force in the same direction as the net force and inversely proportional to the mass of the object. F equals ma.
Kate will now demonstrate Newton's second law of motion by showing that an object with less mass will accelerate faster than an object with a greater mass. Kate will now demonstrate Newton's second law of motion by proving that an object with a greater mass will have a greater force and an object with a smaller mass will have a smaller force. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, a pair of forces acting on the two interacting objects.
Tyler and Seth will now demonstrate Newton's third law of motion by proving that there is a pair of forces acting on the two interacting objects. Seth will now demonstrate Newton's third law of motion by showing how, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, meaning that the hammer and the nail exert a force on each other, but the hammer's force is greater, causing the nail to go into the board.